In the 21st century, the world stands at a crossroads, and the theme of today's conclave is also aligned with this. We are more connected than ever before, yet often more divided. We have achieved unprecedented material progress, yet face profound existential anxieties. It is in this context that India's civilizational wisdom offers not prescriptions, we give perspectives. India does not claim to have all the answers, but it offers a framework where dialogue replaces discord, and where balance replaces excess, and where humanity remains at the culture center of all progresses. The principle of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, the word as one family, is not a slogan for us. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a lived philosophy. It has shaped our diplomacy. It has always the way of our development partnerships and our engagement with the global south, where through humanitarian assistance, digital public infrastructure, or capacity building initiatives, India's approach has always been guided by the idea that global progress must be inclusive. As the world's largest democracy, India represents a remarkable experiment of scale, diversity, and continuity. Our democracy is not merely institutional or the largest, it is oldest and it is civilizational. It is rooted in the spirit of dialogue.
So, a precedent in Indian Ocean, it's alarming, and it's something I personally believe that the region must take it very seriously, and to make sure things like that doesn't happen here in the future.
Now, the ramifications of what is happening, the global conflicts are immense. You know, a lot of people say the fact that the Strait of Hormuz is shut, if it continues to remain shut, it can plunge the global economy into a recession. Sri Lanka is dependent for nearly 37% of all crude that it consumes, and it comes from the Strait of Hormuz. What is your plan? Do you have a contingency as to how you want to overcome the challenge that if 37% of your crude is cut off, that is going to be catastrophic?
Well, I mean, it's not a single challenge only to Sri Lanka, but for the region as well. And I'm sure the government at the moment.
No, I ask you this because you're from Sri Lanka. So, what is your contingency plan? Yeah.
Well, our government is engaging with various stakeholders, various partners, and also with India as well to make sure that our supply chains keep intact. And I think it is high time that they have a long-term strategy. And this is something that we would have thought 20 years ago about completing the fuel tanks what we have, and also looking for renewable energy sources to be expanded in Sri Lanka. But unfortunately, as you know, in subcontinent, certain domestic politics keeps on changing, the policies keep on changing. But I think at the moment, it's about engaging and making sure that the nations that can influence for a peaceful settlement must engage aggressively to make sure that the conflict at least go on a hold for a period of time. And then countries like us must make sure that we engage with our friendly neighbors and friendly partners to make sure that the supply chain continues. Indian training has been very much prominent in the Sri Lankan system for decades. And I think right after the LTT defeat, after we won the battle against LTT terrorism, our military strategies might have changed. We did change to the modern context. And the training methods and our approach has been changed. And also I believe, as you see what's happened in the Indian Ocean at the moment, what happened in the past couple of weeks, and also the challenges that we face as a region, we need to realign and re-strategize, and also look at a strategic communication mechanism to keep intact with the regional cooperation and regional partners. And yes, I believe we must increase, and we must also make sure that the military diplomacy is something that is important for our nation, and especially on modern context.
So I think it's fair to say that it concerns us all, this war. It has, and Moishi just said it, you know, it has an impact on all our countries, and it has a strong impact on Germany. I will give you two reasons. One is the rise of fuel prices. So every citizen of Germany now is confronted with the fact that fuel has become much more expensive. And we see also what we have experienced in the last couple of years, in the last 10, 12 years, that there is, what happens in Lebanon, one part of this war, there is, of course, the danger that a new refugee movement will come up, which we are very, very concerned about. Germany is, for the first time in a long time now, gets a little growth. We are expecting a 1% growth this year, even more maybe, but this war really prevents us from growing in the way we should grow. So I think it's fair to say that we are hugely concerned about this war. We hope it will end rather sooner than later, and we see with great concern that it has become sort of a regional, not maybe completely international, but a regional war that many countries somehow are suffering.
From Europe, going back to Asia, to the Singapore High Commissioner, your country is sitting right at the crossroads of global trade. Have you seen a decrease or perhaps impact on the global trade? And also, as a country which is basically based on trade globally, how has the tariffs, Donald Trump's tariffs, perhaps impacted you?
I mean, since COVID, we had one battle after another. We had Ukraine, we had the war now in Iran, we had a Liberation Day, the day after April Fool's Day. Your conclave is called World Pulse. For Singapore, a small trading nation, we prefer to see global scenarios that are normal, having a human level pause. But these days, we are being electrically shocked. Sometimes I feel we are in a geopolitical Squid Game. If you watch the Korean movie, Squid Game, we see many new challenges waking up in a day that we are not in control of. To answer your question, yes, we are seeing price shocks right now because of the situation in the Middle East. Petroleum prices have gone up, gas prices have gone up. We are trying to mitigate some of this. Like what my colleagues have said, we hope that the war will go off-ramp very soon. If not, we will get not only price shocks, we will get supply shocks.
But I think it's even more necessary to have not a single corridor, but a network of options, and so diversify. I mean, we share the same interests, we, the Gulf and India, in stability, in freedom of navigation, in trade. Italy is the fourth global exporter, so it's naturally interested in stability, security, and freedom of navigation. And as it always been said, when there is trade, there are less cannon.
Operation Sindoor reinforces a simple lesson that deterrence rests on three pillars: credibility, capability, and the will to act. When these align, deterrence becomes decisive. It also establishes clarity that hostile actions will invite a response that is measured, firm, and guided by national interests. Will ensure that India always remains ahead of the curve in terms of defense and deterrence. Indian Army's transformation is also aligned with the national vision of Viksit Bharat 2047, with reforms, technology absorption, and capability development pursued with speed and purpose. I am confident that today's discussion will generate practical insights on future security architecture, emerging technologies, evolving hybrid threats, and the strategic imperatives that shape credible deterrence. I wish the WION Pulse Global Summit every success and extend my best wishes to all speakers and participants for a meaningful and outcome-oriented session. Jai Hind.
if you see at the global level, and if you are referring to what is happening now, you see how US and Israel have got into, after the first week, they've continued to attack, and now it's a kind of escalation trap. They wanted regime change as one of the objectives. That hasn't happened, although there is a large-scale decapitation of the leadership. In spite of that, but the way it was worded, so now they are in their own trap. It is very difficult for them to finish. They will continue to escalate. And the war ending has actually shifted to Iranians. And they are able to extend the war by just low-cost drones and some ballistic missiles every day. So how long they will last, part of the control is shifted to Iranians. So escalation control has become a little difficult. So escalation control must be kept in mind. It's one of the very important parameters.
In India, we have the extremes of very low temperatures in the northern part of the country, along with very high altitude, which is a very difficult terrain to navigate and to make systems that are delivering meaningful capability there. It is something may take off, something may operate there just by doing one hop, but that's not enough. Soldiers need capability that can ensure that they're able to get their job done. And therefore, that is not something which is very easy. This is not even anybody else's problem in the world, other than our problem. And solving for that has been a cornerstone of how particularly the unmanned programs in the country have developed. And the demand on us is to be able to operate in very high altitudes and very low temperatures, down to -30, -40. We have to ensure that our operations can happen. Plus, we also have to make sure those assets can survive in the desert. They can survive in the marine environment. So we have, I would say, many countries have many environmental conditions, but no country has the kind of topographic, diversity that we have, where we need to have our systems operate. So that is something very unique. And when we go and demonstrate our systems globally, it shows up really effectively. We are able to perform almost up to 90% of our stated capability in some of the most extreme environments.
What my own view is, World War III, as you are saying, no, things are happening. It gives a feeling that there may be a World War III. If at all somebody can stop the World War III, it's only India as a country. Because we are the one who believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And today we are one of the probably the most respected country, respected leader who can handle this Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Nobody will believe anybody else except Bharat to do this job. I think we will, if the right decisions are taken by the leaders, there won't be any World War III, and we will be the prime player to stop World War III and see that it won't happen. This is my assessment of the current scenario, geopolitical scenario.
Ankit, a quick word before we leave it up.
I think, in my opinion, history will definitely treat this period as a high conflict period and a high kinetic conflict period. Conflicts have always been there, I guess, and therefore, whether it eventually gets badged as World War III or not is only going to depend on how many parts of the world simultaneously conflicts have erupted and have been sustaining.
A lot of conversation around geoeconomics, the kind of world that we are living in, the kind of challenges that we are grappling with. And just before this session, we had a lot of conversation about trusted partnerships. I want to start with you, Mr. Sanyal. Do we trust each other?
Well, the global system that was built on a sort of a certain architecture since the early 90s, that has clearly come undone. There is no doubt about it. And so the global supply chains that were built on the idea of just-in-time efficiency now are being reconfigured for just-in-case. India's diplomacy has been able to extract our own ships. So this particular just-in-case kind of attitude that we have had towards supply chains is playing out well for us, I would say. That doesn't mean that this current crisis will not have a price for our economy. But given the circumstances, I think we are doing okay.
Okay. Mr. Kumar, what has worked for us domestically and the kind of policies that we have shaped through these years, what has worked for India as far as its growth is concerned? Because despite global headwinds, we have been able to sustain ourselves.
What's worked for India is the amazing commitment of the political leadership to growth, infrastructure, innovation, skills, education, and health. I mean, essentially what's happened since 2014 is that we have a political leadership which is, without any other sort of distraction, committed to India's growth and, infrastructure development. And they identified very early on the bottlenecks or the constraints which were holding India back and focused on that. And I mentioned all of them sort of in one breath. So that's the one biggest thing that's worked for India. And let's not underestimate that. That's one part of it. The second part of it is that I think what's happened is that in India, the rubber meets the road in the states. It's the states which matter. The center can do that much. And in the last 11 years, 12 years or so, or even longer actually, the states have gotten into the game. And they have actually begun to recognize that what they have to do to get their states ahead, as it were.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we are for a very important conversation about how technology and geopolitics in many ways are interrelated. We'll talk about a whole host of issues. Mr. Abhishek Singh, let me start off with you. You are the CEO of India AI Mission. Now, AI, they say, is going to redefine our lives in ways that we can't even comprehend. And this is a race, is it not? I mean, there are big powers that are investing a lot of money in AI. As the CEO of India AI Mission, what is the Indian government doing here to try and ensure that India is at the forefront of this cutting-edge technology?
Thank you, but I would just like to make a correction. It's not that AI will. AI is already defining everything that we do, the way it's impacting our lives, the way it is impacting geopolitics, the way it is impacting industry, the way it is impacting almost every dimension that we can think of. Almost every sector is impacted by AI. When it comes to India, we rely on the key strength that we have. And our core strength for development of AI is our talent base that we have. The human resource that we have, which has led digital transformation projects not only in India, but our companies, our engineers have been building impactful solutions across the world. We also have a very large population, a large access to data sets, multiple languages. So natural corollary is that we should be leading in the field of AI. But currently we are number 3, we are behind US and China, and the gap is quite a bit. So we are trying to bridge that gap. And how do we do that? We try to ensure that availability of basic elements which are required for taking advance in this technology, whether it's building a foundation model or building impactful AI application in various sectors and areas.
Mr. Nitin Pal, let me in fact bring you in on this. Now, you specialize in geopolitics. Mr. Singh said that the United States and China, they are the world leaders at this moment in AI. Everything that we do is going to be defined by how well we can actually perform in the AI landscape. Where do you see India's position is? Are we investing enough? Yes, we have the talent pool, but having only the talent pool and the potential does not translate into the final results that we can get. In terms of geopolitics, considering that so much of everything that we do is already dictated by AI, where do you see India stand?
Thanks. Good afternoon. Good to be here. See, let's take a step back. Technology is a form of geopolitical power.
Absolutely.
Today, you are in an era where it is geopolitics by technology, geopolitics for technology, and geopolitics of technology. So India has no choice but to play the game and accumulate technological power. And in this particular instance, it means artificial intelligence, deep computing, biotechnology, right? You look at the whole swath of it. So there is a school of thought, I think largely propelled by the Silicon Valley types, which said that the only form of power which you can get in AI is when you have these LLMs, large numbers of servers, chips and all of that, computing power, and you build frontier models. I mean, as an engineer, I don't understand what a frontier model is, right? I mean, it's a model. It's a big model. But, all buzzwords, etc., are created. That's what you must understand from the Silicon Valley mindset, right? It is about creating fear, uncertainty, doubt, creating buzzwords so that they get more investment, more capital and all of that. That's the logic. But as an Indian thinker, I don't think that's the only way you get national power from. India must play that game, and I'm very happy to see what's happening with the AI mission. We are making that thing. We are trying to build models. We are trying to get compute power. We are playing that game. Right. But you don't necessarily have to have your own DeepSeek or your own Anthropic in order to play that game.
When will this war come to an end?
It's a good question. I think that we have said at the outset that this might take a few weeks. We are pretty advanced when it comes to fulfilling our military targets. We started with hitting pretty hard the leadership and also the missile and industrial capability of the Iranian regime. We went on to hit the Basij, as you saw yesterday, and we attacked again the leadership of the regime. What we want to achieve is to remove two existential threats that were looming on our country and our region. That's the military nuclear program and the ballistic missile program. That the Iranians were planning to dig very deep into a mountain and make it immune to either our or American attack. So because of the fact that this regime has been threatening us for so many decades and has sworn to destroy the state of Israel, we found ourselves in this situation that we had no choice but to take action. Now we know this has repercussions, but we believe that the repercussions that we are undergoing now are nothing compared to the repercussions that we would have faced, both Israel, the region, and the world, if this rogue regime would have achieved its goal of creating an arsenal of nuclear weapons, of having tens of thousands of ballistic missiles and being able to launch hundreds of thousands of drones against their so-called friends in the Gulf and other potential adversaries. So we are, by defending ourselves, we are making not only ourselves safer, but I think we are making the entire region safer. And we are opening the gates in the future, and I hope the near future, to go back to normal life and to engage in the very important activities that are essential for keeping the lives of more than 10 million Indians that live in the Gulf, and also the projects that the Indian government wants to advance. You know, the European response, I think, was a pretty mixed baggage. On the one hand, they are pretty happy that we are removing this threat. On the other hand, they are sort of sensitive to the repercussions. They have some political complications, especially in some of the countries, that are making them not to be very decisive when it goes to supporting their American allies. I think this is going to have repercussions because President Trump is not very satisfied with this kind of weak response coming out from Europe. By fairly looking at the numbers, you could see that the MAGA constituency supports this operation about 90%, and that this gentleman decided to resign wasn't having positions that are conducive to the positions of the president for a long time. So I think that all in all, we are sort of maintaining the course. I think that this war will end when we exhaust our military capabilities. We will at least leave this regime debilitated significantly. We might get more of that, but we don't want to, exaggerate with expectations. We have stated that beyond these two existential threats we want to remove, it is very important to open the way for the Iranian people to embrace their future.
You have been having conversations with your relatives, with your family members as well. What's the situation on the ground in your country?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, let me thank you for having me here to have the opinion from the Iranian side. You know that we were among the second round of negotiations since June, that we were, for the second time, we were attacked by the American and Zionist regime. We always believe that the diplomacy is the best way for solving the problem. But these two attacks that imposed on us showed that they were not looking for some peaceful solution for any issues with Iran. Regarding your question about the people in Iran, I can tell you the people, they are very steadfast in their way to defend their countries, to defend their governments. And we always be in the situation that we are not pro-war. We always pro-negotiation, pro-diplomacy. But you see that the war was imposed by the Israelis and Americans on us, and we are here to defend our people, our land, our dignity, and we will continue until it is necessary. We have chosen this path that we will continue defending ourselves until the other side understands that there is no any space to impose anything on us. And secondly, that they should consider the right of the Iranian people to rule themselves, not to impose from outside. They cannot impose the will from outside to decide about the people, decide about the government, decide about the country's future. That is correct that we have faced a lot of losses, but it doesn't mean that we quit in the middle, because we believe this time it is a one-way street, that there is no way back. We have to continue until they come to this point that they should commit, that they should end the war, not ceasefire. Because the last time we had a ceasefire, but this ceasefire changed again to another attack on Iran. And because of this, we have told them we are still welcoming diplomacy, welcoming negotiations, but if there is no any guarantee for ending the war, we will continue until they reach to this point that it is useless to continue. But we are ready for any scenario. The Strait of Hormuz, it is not closed. But we only let those countries who are the friends and who are not friends with our enemy to pass. Those who are actually supporting America, the Israeli, they cannot pass it. But still the strait is open. Regarding your question, there was no any deal with India. We have a very good relation, deeply rooted in the history. We had some negotiation with the Indians government, I think 3 or 4 times that Excellency Jaishankar, he had with his Iranian counterpart, and also the Excellency PM Modi with Excellency Pezeshkian, they discussed the issues. And we showed our sincere, actually, we can say, view toward the Indians, that to let these ships to pass safely through this strait.
Through non-fossil sources, we are doing extremely well. I am very proud of that. Recently, we have started, especially as far as the piped natural gas is concerned. I think it is in Madhya Pradesh, Indore. In the city gas distribution, the hydrogen 5%, we are adding hydrogen. Means that much of natural gas which we are importing, and we are providing it through pipe to the households and even to the commercial establishment and industry. If this 5%, it has been proven successful. So like that, if our mix can be further increased, enhanced, that much of import will be reduced. What was never imagined, today that is being seen, that actually it has been shown as a success story to the world, not only to the India, even to the world, that has been shown. And why people are interested to invest in India, whether it is green hydrogen or green energy overall? Because here is a success story. That's why I am confident that whatever you are speaking of the energy future, that future is in the renewable energy. That future is in India because we are in the right direction. Quite long back, Prime Minister Modi, when he was the Chief Minister, he thought of this.